Guys, something is brewing and it's coming very soon. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because of the recent, I'm not going to say collapse, but really big drop in the stock market. Let me just quickly read you this headline and then I'll explain what it actually means. And then I will put that into a microcosm so that people who don't understand how the stock market works, so that they can understand it themselves on a more of an, personal level. Global market crash. From Asian markets to crypto prices, US recession fears jolt financial markets financial markets globally. So when people talk about the stock market, and I know a lot of people won't even have money in the stock market and they don't know how it works. But it's basically, the stock market is, you can put your money into something and you give your money to someone, be it a company or whatever, and then that person uses your money to develop their company, and as their company grows, so does your money. Now, you can take your money away from that person or company anytime you want. Now, let's put this onto a personal level. Let's say you are given, I don't know, wherever you live, your local, guys, I'm trying to think of them on the cover here, your local vegetable salesman, he's got a market stall and, he needs money to buy his vegetables or whatever to sell, and you give him £100 or whatever, guys, and I know this is going to be over, below a lot of people, but just, guys, stick with it. And then you give your money to your local, your local vegetable sales guy. He goes away, he makes some money, he says, okay, thank you for that £100. I've made this much money because of your money. Here's some money, extra money back. So the person who give him the £100, they get £5 back, and he's still got their £100. So they've made £5 or whatever it is. Now, if I know that market's closing, or if I know that where he gets his vegetables is going to go out of business, or if I know something's going to happen that's going to make that business unable to continue, if that business is going to be unable to move forwards, then I'm going to say, well, I like you and I respect you, but unfortunately I'm not going to make any money. I'm going to take my money back, because also with that, the risk is, if that person goes to buy his vegetables and there's no vegetables there, you're going to lose your money. So me, as a conscientious and a competent investor, I will say, well, I don't actually want to lose my money, thank you very much. I'm gonna withdraw my money and I'm going to keep that in my bank account, where although I'm not going to be making any profit, I'm not going to be making any loss. Now, this happens on a global scale as well. So when you see these things happening on the global markets, and of course, we're told that, these people don't do inside trader. They don't do inside trading. Like Nancy Pelosi, for example, she doesn't do any inside trading, not at all. However, she just happens to be, total luck, total coincidence, she just happens to be one of the most astute financial investors the planet has ever seen. It's got nothing to do with her job in the US government. Anyway, guys, I digress. So that's kind of how the stock market works, guys. There's futures, there's other stocks and everything, but that's just a base level. So when you see crashes like we're seeing today, like we're seeing this Monday, when you see crashes in the market like it is now, you know that these people who are investing billions, of course they have different networks than me and you. Of course they talk to different people. Of course they talk to heads of state. So whoever they're getting their information from, and it's certainly not Nancy Pelosi, because she would never give any inside information out, and she's not in a position to do that anyway. But what I'm saying is, all these people who work in those spheres, they understand when something's coming and they don't want to lose money. So they withdraw their money, and that's when you get a crash. And the crash that we're seeing now it's what you would see in a prelude to something really big happening. And let me just give you a little bit, I'll read a little bit off this, guys, and then we'll dissect it. Indian stock market benchmark witnessed a heavy sell-off on Monday as the rout in global equities intensified amid US recession concerns and escalating the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. The global equity markets plummeted as the sell-off was fueled by growing concerns that the US economy is slowing and the Federal Reserve is behind the curve with policy support. So that's the situation that's the situation with the stock market in general. So what's happening there? People are looking at what's happening. They're looking at this conflict in the Middle East, and they're saying, right, okay, well, if this conflict in the Middle East goes, then the price of oil is gonna, guys. And honestly, the price of oil at the moment, guys, I don't know how it's so stable. We'll look back at this in 10 years' time or whatever, and we'll say, that was what was keeping the oil price stable, because the oil price at the moment, it's just absolutely, I don't know how it's staying so stable. However, tensions in the Middle East, crisis in the Middle East, more fighting in the Middle East, the oil price is naturally going to go up. When the oil price goes up, that means the fuel price goes up, that means the energy price goes up, and everything comes from energy. So once your energy is high, everything else is high, and that's why I feel people are starting to pull their money out now. I will put all these links in the description. Another article here, guys. Japanese stocks crash in biggest one-day drop ever. So the Japanese market, they've suffered their biggest loss, the biggest one-day loss ever. We don't know if this is going to continue. Leading stocks lost a staggering 4,451 points, its biggest drop in history. Wow, guys, it's absolutely insane. So you've got all this now. You've got all this stuff happening. All these drops, all these tensions around the world, all this civil unrest especially in the UK, all this stuff happening all at the same time. Guys, remember when I said I think things are going to start to happen when the kids are off school, when it's the summer holidays, when people are away from their desks, when politicians are on holiday. Not just the politicians that are on holiday, politicians' staff are on holiday. So whereas the Prime Minister can call back politicians, he has no right to call back their staff, and even if they do have rights to call back their staff, are their staff contactable? Are they in the Seychelles? Have they got their phone turned off? Are they like, I'm not listening to that, I've got my holiday booked? So you see how much more difficult things are to deal with when people are away from their desk and people are not in work. So you've got all this happening while the Ukrainians today, I think, just started flying and doing missions with their F-16s. I'm going to read you another article. Well, I'll read you the headline and I'll read you down to the bit that's important. All these links in the description, guys. Ukraine's Zelensky displays newly arrived F-16 fighter jets to combat Russia in the air. And then you scroll all the way down. Here it is, guys. You've got to scroll down a little bit. Ukraine is also trying to get neighbouring countries to help defend it from Russian missiles, Zelensky said. This decision is probably a difficult one for our partners as they're always afraid of unnecessary escalation, said the Ukraine's president. We will work on this. I think we have a good option of NATO-Ukraine Council, so that NATO countries could talk to Ukraine about the possibility of a small coalition of neighbouring countries that could shoot down enemy missiles. Guys, if you've been following this channel, I've done so many videos on exactly this. If you've been following this channel for a while, I said this months and months ago. I think I said this I think it was in March when I first said this, or even before, when I saw the seedlings of this growing. So what you're going to have, and I've said it before, you're going to have a situation where we've got NATO F-16s flying defensive sorties over Ukraine, and then we're going to have Ukrainian F-16s flying offensive sorties over Ukraine. Guys, look at the perception now from the Russian side. How do the Russians know whether and I don't know where the airfields are in Poland, for example, but I know there's one in, what's it called? Katowice. I know I don't know if this would be one that, that the military had used, but I know there is I think they would use it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Krakow, Katowice, wherever. From the Russian side of it, they've got F-16s leaving a runway in Katowice, or wherever. These F-16s are then flying over Ukraine on defensive sorties, and then missiles and bombs are dropping inside Russia proper. How does that look from the Russian side. And of course, you know, the Ukrainians and the Polish will say, no, this was a defensive mission. What you got hit by was a Ukrainian F-16 that was flying an offensive mission from a secret location in Ukraine. Guys, you know, you see how the waters are getting murky because the Russians are not stupid. The Russians then need to take the decision, and this will happen soon. You know, will they take out the air bases that these defensive aircraft are being flown from? Guys, the Russians are not in this for the short haul. The Russians are in this game for the long haul. What is happening around the world at the moment, this is all connected. And we've just seen this crash in the stock market. So that, to me, says something big's coming. We've got another article here, guys. Once again, the Middle East is a tinderbox. So you have, guys, all right, let's not forget. I mean, it's very difficult to think that far back, it seems now, when these assassinations happened in Iran. The Iranians, all the Iranians have come out and, like, in the way the Iranians do, they've vowed revenge, and they've vowed revenge on the Israelis. The Israelis, if you look what's happening in Israel, everybody's bulk buying stuff off the shelves because they know what's coming. The Israelis are kind of surrounded. The only place they've got, the Israelis have got to, the only place the Israelis have got to retreat really is back into the, back into the water. Guys, absolutely insane times that we are living in at the moment. What we're going to see very soon is mass escalations in the Middle East. They've told us what they're going to do, so nobody should be surprised when this happens. You know, what I feel will be happening as a prelude to this, you know, we've got, go and look at my video on subversion. We've got our enemy nations trying to destabilize our, well, they're already doing it. You know, they're destabilizing our countries and wanting to put our countries into crisis, because if our politicians, if our military, if our police are all looking inward, we can't look outward. We can't do anything else, and then that gives them the the ability to push forwards, to drive, to take more land, take more ground. Now, guys, I've been going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here with the why. And do it yourself, okay? Keep asking the why. Keep asking the why. Okay, this is happening. Why? Okay, because of this. Why? And you keep going further and further back. And these things, when you keep going back, and you know, they're absolutely terrifying if you can follow the why back to its root source. What else have we got? We've got Mali. So remember a couple of months ago when I did a video and I said I wasn't sure of the credibility of this report, but it turns out now that Mali are cutting ties with Ukraine over Mali cuts diplomatic ties with Ukraine over Wagner attack controversy. Move follows Kiev's official comment on attacks late last month targeting Malian soldiers and mercenaries from Russia's Wagner group. So apparently the Ukrainians conducted an attack in Mali. Now this attack took out Wagner group and some, as it says here from this article that I'll put in the description, where are we? Yeah, it took out some Malian soldiers as well. Now, the Ukrainians do not have international strike capacity, guys. You know, they don't. Anybody who thinks that they do, they don't. So I would speculate that they had help in this, and that these targets were pre-identified by someone else, and then they were taken out and then they were doing that on behalf of someone else, and then the Ukrainians could claim credit for this. Whoever put them up to it has they have plausible deniability. But they still have the same effect. I don't know who that is. You guys can follow the why yourselves. Okay, think, okay, why did they do this? Who aims to benefit, and why? All right, so that's the kind of route we're going down at the moment, guys. Absolutely insane times. I've got to be somewhere now, guys, so I'm going to cut this video a little bit short. But don't worry, because I'm going to be back later. There will be no doubt more developments later on today. Guys, stay safe, and I'm going to max the grid.